Quick question. Two people, same age, same education, same job, same hours, same alarm going off at 6 in the morning. One lives in New York, one lives in Lagos. Same work, same tired. But at the end of the month, one has 10 times more purchasing power than the other. Not because she worked harder, not because she's smarter, not because she deserved it more, because of where she was born. That's not bad luck. That's a system, a designed one. And by the end of this video, you're going to see exactly how it works.
Last video, we went inside your head. Money scripts, the beliefs about money you picked up as a child before you were old enough to question them, quietly running your biggest financial decisions without you even realizing. Today, we go outside because fixing what's in your head means nothing if you don't understand the world those beliefs are operating inside. Ask most people why their currency is weak, and they'll say the same thing. Our country's corrupt. Our leaders are incompetent. We're just behind. And maybe some of that is true, but that's not the whole story. Not even close.
His name is Kwame, 28, software developer in Accra, Ghana. Taught himself to code at 17 on a second-hand laptop with borrowed internet. No course, no boot camp, just him, a screen, and a lot of late nights. By 2022, he was freelancing for clients in Europe and the US, saving properly for the first time, finally feeling like it was starting to make sense. And then the Ghanaian cedi collapsed. In 1 year, it lost nearly half its value against the dollar. Same number in his account, but it could buy roughly half of what it bought 12 months before. He hadn't made a bad investment, hadn't been reckless, hadn't done anything wrong.
He just woke up one day and half of everything he'd built was quietly gone. You can do everything right and still lose because someone else changed the rules. When he told me about it, the thing that stayed with me wasn't the money. It was what he said next. He said he felt stupid, like it was a personal failure. It wasn't. What happened to Kwame was decided in boardrooms, by institutions, in conversations he never knew were happening. And until you understand those conversations, you will keep absorbing consequences you cannot name. Before we go further, one thing most people never get clear on: money and currency are not the same thing. Money is the idea, the shared agreement that something holds value. Currency is the tool, the notes in your pocket, the coins, the number on your phone screen when you open your bank app. It's what your government created so that the idea of money could actually move. Every country manages its own currency through a central bank, and every single one of those currencies is constantly being measured against all the others. Every second of every day, in a market called Forex, the foreign exchange market, it never closes. $6 trillion moves through it every single day. And that market, not a room full of politicians, is what decides what your currency is worth. A negotiation, continuous, real-time, global, and it is not random. 3 things drive this. Remember these, because once you see them, you start seeing them everywhere. Interest rates. When a country raises interest rates, foreign investors move money there. Why? Because they earn a better return. But to invest, they need that country's currency. More demand, higher value. When the U.S. Federal Reserve raised rates aggressively in 2022, money flooded into dollars from every corner of the world. Currencies across Africa, Asia, South America all took a hit, almost overnight. Kwame didn't lose half his savings because Ghana failed. He lost it partly because America raised its interest rates. A decision made in Washington can quietly cut your savings in half. No vote, no warning, no message sent to you, just consequences. Inflation. When prices inside a country rise fast, each unit of currency buys less. Its value drops. Zimbabwe became the example everyone knows. They printed money to cover government debts until the currency meant almost nothing. Not because people didn't work, because the system broke from the top and ordinary people absorbed the damage. Confidence. Underneath everything, currency is a bet. Every investor asking one question: is this safe? The moment the answer looks like no, money leaves fast, before the news finishes breaking, before anyone fully understands what's happening. The world prices in risk instantly and moves. Here's the part of history nobody explained properly. World War II isn't even over. Representatives from 44 countries meet in a small town in New Hampshire, Bretton Woods, and they make a decision. The US dollar will become the anchor of the global financial system. America had the gold, the industrial base, the leverage. So by agreement, not accident, it got the most powerful seat at the table. Today, around 60% of the world's foreign exchange reserves are held in dollars. Oil is priced in dollars. International loans are denominated in dollars, which gives America something no other country has. When they have a problem, they print money. The rest of the world absorbs it. Economists call it the exorbitant privilege. What it means for people like Kwame is simpler. When America sneezes, he catches the cold. Two things, practical ones. First, stop keeping everything in one currency. If your salary comes in Naira, CDs, or rupees, that's not a reason to keep everything you own in that currency. Currencies shift. Some lose value slowly, some collapse fast. The people who protect themselves don't rely on one system. They hold assets not tied to a single currency. Property, equity, global assets, stronger currencies. That's not luck, that's awareness. Second, watch what the Fed does. You're not American, but American interest rate decisions land in your life anyway. Your inflation, your loan rate, your savings. When the Fed moves, capital moves globally, whether you're paying attention or not. Knowing that puts you ahead of most people already. Kwame eventually figured all of this out. He didn't leave Ghana, didn't get lucky, didn't land some extraordinary break. He just changed how he was playing, restructured how he got paid, started holding assets that didn't depend on the CD staying stable, started paying attention to signals the system was broadcasting constantly that most people walk past every day without seeing. The savings that felt like a gut punch in 2022, he rebuilt them differently, stronger. Because once you understand the game, you stop being blindsided by it. You start using it. You now know what money is, who creates it, who sits in that building in Switzerland 6 times a year, what's been running in your head since before you were 10, and now why your currency is worth what it's worth, and why none of that is your fault. One question left. What do you do with all of this? Because if you keep earning, saving, and thinking in one currency, in a global system like this, you don't fall behind suddenly. You fall behind quietly every year. That's the next video. Not more theory, not more history, just the answer everything has been pointing toward. How ordinary people with ordinary incomes actually build wealth inside a system that was never designed to make that easy. I've been working toward that answer since the very first video. Next one, we get there. See you there.